Hey everybody, my name is Sean Healy and my company is Dragon Koi Coaching. I hope everybody had an awesome weekend and they got out and relaxed a little bit and did something fun, kind of rejuvenate, regenerate. It's important to do. So today I wanted to talk with you guys about something that I talk with a lot of my coaching clients about. I actually got in a conversation with one of them last week about this, and it's when we're growing our business or how to grow our business, which seems like kind of a normal conversation, but the catch-22 with it is, are you growing your business from a profitability model? Are you looking at your numbers, or are you growing it from a practitioner model? And what I mean by that is, particularly in the practitioner industries, so whether it be Pilates or personal training or therapy, a lot of us get into it because we have a skill set that is working with patients or clients, and we want to start this business because we want independence and we want to be able to control kind of our destiny with this thing. But what I see a lot of the time is that people tend to work really, really hard and get new clients in and keep the money coming in, pay all the bills, and get to the end of the month and go, what happened to all the money, right? So I think it's really important to understand that to be successful in business, you have to have a profitability mindset, right? You have to be able to go into it looking at, what does this structure look like for me to be profitable? Not just, what does this look like to bring in money, right? Because you can bring in money, but if what you're spending is more than you're bringing in, you're not going to sustain, right? And that's kind of a well duh statement, but a lot of what gets people in trouble is when it's not that they're necessarily losing money, right? But they're not necessarily making money either. So we're kind of at this break-even point that we like to kind of hang around, because when we're doing well, it feels like we should be profitable. That being said, if our numbers don't make sense, then it's not going to work ultimately. Because if anything bad happens at all, it's going to take it down, right? So one thing I want to talk about with this is, and kind of the focal point of this whole video, is looking at running your business by the numbers. And what I mean by that is, first, do you use something like QuickBooks or some sort of an accounting software that your information goes into and you can get reports back out to utilize to be able to make adjustments in your business? Now, I've had all kinds of people coaching clients with this that range from people that do it on a regular basis and they understand it, to people, and it's not uncommon, that say, I give it to my accountant and he puts it in there or she puts it in there, to I do it at the end of the year for the entire year, right? We put it all in. And for those that use a software system, for example, like MindBody Online, the accountant generally takes, or the bookkeeper generally takes, that information and puts it into QuickBooks. So you have general numbers. The problem with this is there's nothing you can do anything with them aside from do your taxes and see, one, how much you're bringing in, and two, how much it's all costing you. The question would be that I would have, let's say you have a situation where you have classes and you have one-on-ones and you have semi-privates, and maybe you have physical therapy. Do you actually break that income down in QuickBooks? And then two, do you break down who's teaching the classes and how much you're paying them? Or do you break down what the different category is in terms of pay? When you pay somebody, do you break those categories down in their paycheck, right? It doesn't mean you have to know exactly what every employee is doing, but what, in my mind, what you do want to be able to show yourself is, if I have classes that are bringing in, I don't know, $100,000 a year, how much are those classes costing me, right? And an easy way to look at this, okay, if you have employees, let's say they cost you $50,000 a year. You have $50,000 to maintain equipment, to pay rent, to do all those things that you need to do in that category, right? And what I find is most people will generally take that income and say, okay, we had $250,000 worth of sales this year, and it cost us $220,000 to do business or $275,000 to do business. And so they either know if they're making money or losing money. The problem is most people don't know where it is that they're making money and losing money, right? There's a lot of times where one area is very profitable and does really well, and it kind of holds up another area, right? Now, that doesn't mean that's always necessarily bad. Sometimes we have what we call loss leaders, right? So there are areas that we that are sort of popular that people maybe come in for. Let's say a class setting where it's less expensive for people to come in. Depending on your infrastructure with that class and how you set that class up, they should be really pretty profitable. At the same time, if you have classes that are low attendance, how do you know if you need to take a certain class off the schedule, or are those classes getting people to come in and transfer to something different like physical therapy or one-on-ones? That may be a loss leader situation. Now, I wouldn't recommend that, obviously, but there are certain things like, say, mat classes. And in the studio setting, they're pretty hard to fill. They're hard to maintain because you're competing against kind of, at least historically, like big box kind of clubs. And I can get a mat class with a membership, so why would I want to come and pay you per mat class, so kind of a thing. But that may be, if you can get people in the door, it may be worth maintaining those in certain circumstances. But again, the point is, how do you know that, right? How do you, from a business perspective, know how much each area is bringing you in, and know how to control and really fine tune or adjust and manipulate, if you need to, that scenario? Do you know, if you have contractors or employees, doesn't matter which, do you know what your payroll percentage should be? Do you know how much your payroll is for certain areas? Oftentimes, as an owner, if you have classes, and depending on how many, again, we'll take reformer classes, let's say, and you have 6 reformers, what happens if you go to 10? What happens to your payroll percentage or your cost percentage if you can fill a class with 10? If you have 3 reformers, let's say, you really have to try to fill those every time. Where if you have 10 reformers, you can have classes with 10, and sometimes you have classes with 2. It's not that you want that, but those classes with 10, because your profitability goes up the more people go into a class, potentially, depending on how you have it structured, it'll support those classes that have 2. And so you can have maybe a bigger schedule, that helps people come in and want to stay in your studio because of the accessibility of it. Right. So again, the point is how do you take the information that you have and you're getting as people come in, as you're paying your bills, as all this transactional stuff is happening? Can you go to your QuickBooks, let's say, pull up a report and say, okay, this was a good month? Can you forecast? What we want to do is be able to create a situation where you're looking at sort of year-to-date type stuff. So what happened last year in March, for example? What do I expect to happen this year in March? Does spring break fall on a different week this year? Does Easter or holidays fall on different weeks? Do they fall in this month or next month? How all of that affects your forecasting and what you should be able to expect to have come in this month. If you don't have the ability to pull up reports on a software system of some sort, whether it be QuickBooks or Peachtree or whatever, you really have a hard time being able to forecast. And so it's really hoping, right? And wishing for the best and working really hard and waiting till the end of the month to see if it worked. You have to be able to know where you are as you're going through the month, ideally. Running your business by the numbers. It doesn't make it cold. It doesn't make it like you don't care about all the people and your employees and all this stuff. But at the end of the day, if you own a business, you have to make money. And you have to have a plan. And you have to have something that you can analyze on some level that allows you to be able to control that. So my question to you guys is, how many of you are running your business by the numbers? How many of you pull up reports on a regular basis to see where you are and to understand what you can expect for what's coming up? How many of you make adjustments based on those numbers? Now, they're sometimes skewed a little bit. That's why you got to tweak your software system and look at what information you're putting in. If you're just putting in total sales, and then you're looking at total expense, that's all you got. You don't know where in the system something may not be working. So I challenge you to look at that in your business. If you're not running your business by the numbers, it's really a hope and a dream to some extent. So, and we all have that gut feeling. Once you've done it long enough, you kind of understand where things need to be adjusted. You can look at your scheduling software and see that certain classes don't have the attendance that they should have. Do you have an annual budget? Do you have a monthly budget? Do you know what everything should cost you? What's your break-even point? What's that nut that you have to crack every month? And looking toward it, looking toward being able to understand what may get in the way of that, or where you can actually increase your profitability. Look, the reason that you're in business is to make money, period. I get that we want to help people. That's the passion that we have for it. If you just want to help people and you have passion for it, work for somebody else. It's way less stressful. But if you own a business, if you're in this forum watching this video and you own a business, you need to start looking at your business from a numbers perspective and understanding that you have to have a profitability mindset. You have to look at it from being profitable. If you're not, you're probably ultimately not going to be, and it's not going to work out. You have to look at it from a money-making situation. It doesn't mean that you have to be cold and calculated and mean to people to make money. Money's not a bad thing. Money's a great thing because it allows us to do all the things we want to do. But ask yourself that. Do you have a profitability mindset? Do you have a business that you run by the numbers? Do you have a situation where you are in control of where your destiny is going, or are you leaving it up to chance? Is it a hope and a dream? And hoping that we get to the end of the month and we have money left over to be able to utilize for something. Do you put it away? Do you have 6 months of expenses in the bank? Wouldn't that be great? That'd make you feel real safe. But I challenge all you guys to look at this. So let me know. Let me know in the comments below. I'm curious to know where everybody is, and maybe we put more information out on this, on profit loss statements, on balance sheets. How do you look at the numbers? It's very confusing to most people. And most people, when they start businesses, are like, I don't know, I'm just trying to survive. So if you can start to learn about the numbers and be able to understand how they affect your clarity on what you're doing, it's a big thing. So, like I said, comment, ask me questions about it if you want to. I hope you do. And give me information that I can then turn around and get back to you guys that'll help. So again, as usual, have an awesome day, have an awesome week, and go and do it to it. We'll see you on the flip side.